So, Detroit Red Wings. We talked about the Senators having a really big offseason, looking to take a step to break up that core four at the top of this division. Well, the Detroit Red Wings also had a pretty darn good offseason. They spent some money bringing in Ville Husso to shore up the goaltending. Husso and Nedeljkovic, that could be an excellent tandem moving forward for this team. David Perron, Dominic Kubalik, Ben Sherratt, Andrew Kopp. So they bring the Michigan native to Detroit. The Red Wings are looking to take a step, and it's been a good summer for Steve Yzerman and the Red Wings as well. So I've got the Red Wings in 6th, but man, they're going to be a lot better. It's going to be tight. A tight race for that 4th spot. They're going to be playing meaningful games in March, I think, and I really like the Red Wings, but I've got them in 6th. And Case, I know you've been excited to talk about the Red Wings, so let's have it.
Yeah, I mean, they were playing GM mode in this offseason. Just went out and said, okay, sort overall top free agents, you. Okay, my team is now a playoff team. Let's move on. We've got the young guys, and now we've signed the veteran free agents. There's going to be scoring up and down this lineup now, and more so because, you know, you've solidified Lucas Raymond he's going to be a 40-plus goal scorer. That's locked in stone. You have Larkin and Bertuzzi. We know what we can get out of them. You now have healthy Jacob Vrana for this whole season. That guy's a 30-plus goal scorer at will. Dominic Kubalik has scored 30 goals. David Perron is up there. There's goal scoring up and down this lineup, and that includes guys like Pui Suter and Michael Rasmussen when you play him out front on the power play. And I don't know, the offense is what was really driving this team for me. I think the question marks with this team is more on the back end. But when you look at what they have here, with all the goals being scored up front, I don't think that they really are that concerned about having puck-moving defensemen. They have Moritz that, you know, what we've seen what he can do now. Filip Hronek can be a two-way guy in his own right. But with all the goals coming from up front, I think what they need here is guys who are hard to play against. And I think they filled in this back end with guys that fit under that category. So I'm not really worried about their lack of puck moving on the back end or like, you know, superstar talent or top 4 talent other than Moritz. So I'm really not worried about the defense as much as maybe I should be. And then, you know, this goaltending, We've seen Ville Husso be one of the best and one of the worst. So there's a big swing that can happen there. I hope he finds somewhere in the middle or somewhere a little closer to the success he had more recently. And Nedeljkovic as well. You know, we've seen good and bad from him. So there's a question to be had in the goaltending, but I think this team just needs slightly above league average and they'll be fine. So, you know, question marks on the back end, but I think if they just play hard to play against, this team can be a playoff team.
Yeah, I think they're definitely in the conversation, and I love their forward group, really. Like, they have so many guys who can put the puck in the net, and that's what you need. Like, I think David Perron was one of the most underrated signings of the offseason. You know, like, he was really good last year, and you know, like you mentioned, Case, having a healthy Jacob Vrana for an entire year, that's another guy that's going to add to that offense. Like, their top 6 really is pretty legit. They've got a lot of guys who can be about a point per game, and like, this team is going to score a lot. I'm a bit more concerned with the back end than I think you are, Case. I think after that first pairing, or at least how it's slotted now as Sherratt and Seider, I think it just drops off too much for me. And yes, you've got a lot of guys who can score, but I think we should be worried about how they're going to get the puck when those two aren't on the ice. I think they've got guys who yeah, sure, they can play defense if they're killing penalties or whatever. They can be hard to play against in front of the net, but at the end of the day, you need mobile guys who can make a good first pass. And I think, you know, we just haven't really seen that from anyone outside of the top pairing at an elite level or at a very good level. So I'm worried about the D. But that being said, like, I think, you know, like we talked about, spots 4 to 6 for me were up for grabs. I just think the other two teams are better right now than Detroit, but I wouldn't be surprised if they snuck into a playoff spot.
I think the last thing I want to say in defense of the defense is that the first pass, I'm less concerned about it with this team because this is such a puck retrieval team when I look at them. Like, even the guys that are so efficient at putting the puck in the net on this team are puck retrieval guys. Bertuzzi, Larkin, Perron, Kopp, like all of these guys, I picture them as a dump and chase team, and really a dump and chase team doesn't need Roman Josi on the back end.
Yeah, well, they got Moritz, and you're right. They got to get it over the line and then let the boys eat in the offensive zone. That makes sense. Like, I buy it, and that's, I could see that happening too, and that's kind of why I have them in this conversation as a bubble playoff team, because I think they're going to be a lot better than people expect them to be this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could be a real surprise, and they'll be a lot better for sure. And I could see this team playing meaningful games in March. And looking at that back end in the future, we're looking at Cale Makar and Bowen Byram and what they're doing in Colorado. I kind of look at that as maybe a similar situation in Detroit with Seider and Simon Edvinsson when he's finally able to take on a full-time role. I don't think he made the team after the preseason, though, didn't he? But he'll be up. Like, we're going to see Edvinsson this season. There's no question about it. So the back end will get better, but man, the goaltending will be better, and this forward group should be able to score a lot of goals if they can stay healthy and if the guys can produce like we know they're able to.